All right, let's talk about Switzerland. You know, the country famous for its chocolate and mountains. But for this explainer, I want you to forget all that. Because the real story isn't about what Switzerland makes, it's about what it protects. The immense fortunes of the world's billionaires. We're going to dive into what makes it the ultimate sanctuary for the ultra-rich.
So let me ask you, when you hear the word Switzerland, what's the very first image that pops into your head? For most of us, it's probably one of two things.
Maybe it's this stuff, right? The fancy chocolates, the luxury watches. And yeah, they're absolute symbols of precision and quality for sure. But that's just the surface. That's not the real story.
Or maybe your mind goes straight to this incredible landscape. A perfect picture of beauty and stability. And look, these cliches are true, but they kind of hide a much, much more powerful reality.
Because the real story, the one that truly shapes global finance, is this. Switzerland isn't just a country, it's a meticulously, brilliantly engineered sanctuary designed specifically for the world's wealthiest people.
So what is the real Swiss gold? Well, it's not a product you can hold in your hand. It's an expertise. An expertise in protecting and growing massive fortunes. Something they've been perfecting for centuries.
And what does that expertise look like in the real world? Well, get this. A single Swiss banking giant, UBS, counts roughly half of the world's billionaires as their clients. Now, that kind of dominance is no accident. It is absolutely by design. So what is that design exactly? How did this small, landlocked country basically become the world's vault? Well, it all comes down to three core principles, what you could call the Swiss Trinity.
These three pillars, security, discretion, and incredible tax efficiency, are the absolute bedrock of Switzerland's financial power. They all work together to create this irresistible pull for global capital. Let's break them down one by one.
Okay, first up, security. In a world that feels increasingly chaotic with volatile economies and political turmoil, Switzerland is like this island of calm. Its famous neutrality and super strong currency make it the ultimate safe harbor for weathering any global storm.
Next, there's discretion. Now listen, the old days of absolute ironclad bank secrecy, they're pretty much over thanks to a lot of international pressure and agreements. But what's replaced it is this modern, super sophisticated standard of client privacy and expert service. It's all about helping you navigate complex global rules with total confidence and trust. And that brings us to the third, and you could argue, the most powerful pillar of them all, a truly unique tax system that creates a massive, massive advantage for the ultra-wealthy.
It's called Expenditure-Based Taxation, or the lump sum system. And the concept is frankly radical. I mean, just forget everything you know about being taxed on what you earn or own globally. In this system, your tax is calculated based on what you spend locally in Switzerland.
So how does that actually work? It's surprisingly simple. First, the authorities figure out your annual living expenses, and often they just look at the rent you pay for your fancy apartment. Then, they multiply that number by a fixed factor, which is usually 7. And that final number, that becomes your entire taxable income base. That's it, seriously.
And this is the absolute game changer. You see, in most countries, a billionaire is taxed on their billions in global income and assets. But under the Swiss lump sum system, their tax bill is tied only to their local lifestyle costs. For anyone with vast international investments and businesses, the difference isn't just big, it is astronomical.
Now, this isn't just some historical quirk. The Swiss system is a huge driver of a massive story that's unfolding in the world right now. Experts have started calling it the Great Wealth Migration. We're seeing high net worth individuals and their families actively leaving countries where taxes are rising and things feel unstable, and they're searching for safer, more predictable shores. A simple way to think about it is in terms of push and pull factors. The push comes from rising tax burdens and uncertainty in other nations. And the pull? Well, that's the undeniable allure of that stable, tax-friendly Swiss ecosystem we've been talking about. And if you want a perfect real-time example, just look at the UK's plan to change its rules for non-domiciled residents. This planned tax hike on their overseas wealth is acting as a direct catalyst, literally pushing billionaires who built their fortunes internationally to ask, where should we go next? And for many of them, the answer is Switzerland. But here's the final and really crucial piece of the puzzle. The appeal of Switzerland goes way beyond just a favorable tax code. It's about the complete lifestyle package. I mean, think about it. For a family with a multi-billion-dollar legacy to protect, this kind of holistic security is priceless. We're talking access to the world's best schools, top-tier healthcare, unmatched public safety, and expert help with generational planning. It basically turns a country into a full-service sanctuary.
And you know, this quote from our source material just sums it up perfectly. Switzerland lets you structure your wealth, pay predictable taxes, and live an exceptionally high-quality life in a stable, neutral place. It really is the ultimate base camp for building a lasting legacy.
So, that brings us to our final thought. As the world continues to grapple with wealth inequality, and governments everywhere looking for new ways to raise money, the pressure on havens like Switzerland is only going to grow. And that leaves us with a huge question. Can this time-honored model of stability and discretion adapt to a rapidly changing world, or is it about to face its greatest challenge yet?